Hi, this is Kendra from Pencil and Pigment, and today I wanted to talk about the Traveler's Notebook B-Sides and Rarities, and specifically I wanted to talk about the super lightweight paper. So this is a limited edition, limited run product. My intent with talking about it isn't to make you go rush out and purchase it. I just want to talk about something that I panic bought because I'm doing a no-buy next year, and what this is and who this might actually be for. Because everyone I know that has purchased this and done a video on this has said the same thing. Like, what do I do with it? So I want to talk about it. Because it's not for me, and I own two now. So I'm going to gift this one to a calligraphy friend of mine, and I'm going to tell you why. So the first thing I did with this product, and I highly recommend that you have some sort of card or vinyl piece sheeting that you can put in between, because this is 128 pages. It doesn't look like 128 pages, but like it says, it's super, super lightweight paper, and it is. It's also not saddle stitched, it's stapled, and I will show you why that's important to me. So it has the traditional Traveler's Company initial page, which is kind of, it feels like a Midori sheet of paper. For those folks that have sort of a traveler's notebook, we use one for our homeschool, for our records. We homeschool because of COVID. We have 3 kids. But this was just something I wanted to try because I thought, wow, that's so many sheets of paper and it's so incredibly thin. I might get a lot of use out of this. So I initially tried it with a Pilot pen, and I used a little colored pencil, and I didn't put a sheeting guard down, and all the pages underneath became bumped from how hard I press. I pressed down pretty hard. And I thought, oh, we might be able to create cool effects of see-through things. So I did some interesting vines. This is actually Copic marker and colored pencil. So as you can see, Copic doesn't bleed through. If you are a Copic user and bleeding onto the next page is something that you absolutely just, it's so frustrating and maddening to you, you might like this paper, maybe. This paper doesn't really act like other paper. So here I used colored pencils and watercolor pencils, and I wanted to see, obviously everything you do when you add water to paper this lightweight is going to buckle. But the water just sits and it pools within the buckles, and it takes an incredibly long time to dry. There is sort of a coating on this very, very thin paper that reminds me of onion skin. It reminds me of ultra thin vellum. So things perform a little differently. This is just colored pencil. As you can see, things behind it show up. So this is dark Copic markers and colored pencil. And you can see the opposing page. I didn't draw on any of the other pages because I wasn't sure. We're going to do that together today. We're going to get real weird with it and see if things bleed. Here is a mushroom. This is Copic marker and colored pencil and some insects. As you can see, there's no bleeding. This is a Sharpie. And these are, let me grab them. These Neocolor. And these are the Neocolor too, so they're water soluble. They act kind of like a watercolor stick. Again, there is buckling, but because the paper is so thin, it starts to lay flat after you've given it a ample amount to dry. This was, I took the watercolor that we made in a video that was sort of the duotone, and I'll link that video if you want to see the watercolors that I used. And I did the whole sheet with a light wash that was a completely solid, it was just ripples and wrinkles. And I wanted to see what granulating watercolor looked like. And then I went over it with a Jelly Roll white ink pen to see would white ink show up. And it certainly does, doesn't it? That's how thin this paper is. This is the Graphite XL blocks from Derwent and colored pencil. And I wanted to see if spray fixative would hold. And I don't know if it's my spray fixative or what, but it could use another spray down. Just colored pencil. I was trying to figure out, do I layer branches and botanicals with portraits? Here is an owl with its eyes closed. This is just colored pencil, just some simple doodles to see. Here is Sharpie and colored pencil. So when you layer them, you get them both, and then you get them both kind of behind trees. This isn't typically how I draw. I don't draw taking into account how everything will look together with multiple pages. I typically draw based on whatever theme I have chosen for the month, the drawing challenge that I am currently working on, and then I just do each page, and each page is its own piece. So this is kind of a lot more to think about, to worry about, and I don't, with something like this, I don't kind of want to fill the whole page because I want to take into account other areas where I can have pop-up drawings. And that's strange. It feels like wasted paper, so... And as you can see, Sharpie and pen can be really streaky. We're going to do a really quick demo. So I have a Copic Chow in Pine Tree Green. And I'm just going to draw a huge leaf. You can see it's kind of streaky. So Copic markers work fine, they just perform differently. And while they're still wet, they can smear. So you need to allow for way more drawing time. This is a Sharpie in green. We're going to say he's attached. This is just a demo. Here's my flower. If you go over a spot, like if you just lean into it, he has the world's thickest and longest stem. There isn't any bleeding. It looks like I'm coming close. Now, if I decide I want to draw on the opposing page, and I want to add a leaf over here this way with overlapping, I think this paper is really, really thin that, yeah, now it's starting to bleed. So if you're using Sharpie, you can only use one side. Let's try the Copic. I don't mind getting weird with it for a demo. You see the sort of the ink build up along this line here? And that starts to bleed. So you can really only do so many layers before it bleeds through. So who is this for? Like, I would say if you were working on something very, very specific, I try to come up with as many ideas as possible of how layering would benefit. So if you were working on atmospheric perspective and you wanted to work on the foreground, which would be, I don't know, children playing at a park, the middle ground, which would be the mountains and sunset, and then the background, which would be, I don't know, birds flying away, clouds, I don't know, maybe there's an imaginary castle floating in the sky or something. Each layer of the illustration could be on a different page, and you could see how they layer up. One could be the foreground, one could be the middle ground, one could be the background. You could do a thing where you are, if you're working on maybe anatomy, where you draw out a full body skeleton, and then one layer is the veins, one layer is the muscles, and you layer them together to see what that looks like. You could do a thing where you draw sort of a blueprint what your bedroom looks like, and one layer is furniture one way, and then maybe you roll and fold it up, and another layer is your furniture another way, to see what that would look like. So you only have to draw sort of your room map once. This is very interesting. I have seen demos where people take really incredible fountain pen ink and it doesn't bleed through. I would just recommend that your nib not be too tiny, like a drawing nib, because I think it could tear this easily. I want to compare this. This is a vellum bag, and you can see that the sheen on the vellum bag is much thicker, and the paper is about the same weight. It just has a different coating on it. And then I also wanted to talk about the Copic. When you buy Copic pens, you can get a book for swatches that's 18 pages. I would actually recommend something like this. It's 128, but if you only use one side, you'd have 64 pages. So you could swatch all your fountain pens, all your Copic pens all at once. They also make this in a 3x4 inch passport size. It's more portable and thinner. This one is stapled. I just want to show you why I mentioned staples. My staples are starting to rust. I live in extreme high humidity, so just be cognizant of some of those things. I hope this helped. I hope this review was interesting, and I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.